Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to The Awakened Heart, a podcast for healing women. I'm Autumn Moran, licensed professional counselor, and also a fellow late diagnosed neurodivergent trauma experienced woman here sharing my wisdom, sharing my education, sharing all my experiences with you so that you can hopefully feel a little bit better, heal a little bit more, and just ultimately feel like you're living a life that you want to live. Welcome to the rebirth season. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale it all in. Let your shoulders drop on the exhale. Inhale deeply. Exhale, let your jaw soften. Because this is what we're doing today. And this is what the rest of this season is about. We just came through the rage season together. We named the sacred rage. We talked about the body as the enemy and the clock and the comparisons and the silence and not being believed. We did shadow work. We built altars. We honored Lilith, the woman who refused, who flew, who survived the demonization. We burned a lot down. And now we're here on the other side of the fire, in the place where something new gets to grow, the rebirth season. So before we begin, one more time, if you're here with me and you'd like to, inhale deeply. Exhale, let it out through the mouth. And to start the rebirth season, I want to talk about how to be soft without losing your power. Because this is the question that comes up after the rage. Once you've felt the full weight of your fury, once you've named what was taken and who failed you and what it cost, once the fire has done its work, what comes next? You know what comes next? Is softness. Not weakness, not compliance, not going back to being small and quiet and palatable for people who never deserved that from you in the first place. I'm talking about softness on your terms, from a place of wholeness instead of fear. I'm in this season right now, actively. I'm learning what softness actually is after a lifetime of armor. And I want to tell you, it feels different than I expected. Way better, more spacious, like finally being able to take a full breath after years of shallow ones. The simplest thing I can say, and every time I say it and think about saying it, it just doesn't give it justice. But coming through everything, healing everything, and continuing on a growth path to the highest version of myself gives me gives me a lot, but it gives me this huge sense of freedom. I am free. Before the rage, before the healing, before any of this, you were armored. Maybe you describe it differently. Maybe you would say it's guarded, careful, always ready, hypervigilant, never fully relaxed, performing small and invisible in public when carrying something enormous underneath. That's armor, built piece by piece from every experience that taught you that being open gets you hurt, being seen gets you dismissed, or maybe even being real gets you punished. The armor made sense. It was built from wisdom, painful, hard-won wisdom about what happens when you're vulnerable with the wrong people, in the wrong environments, when you haven't yet learned how to protect yourself with actual boundaries instead of walls. For many of you, for me as well, the armor shows up mostly in public spaces, small, invisible, not drawing attention to myself. That's how I have performed in public spaces, not taking up too much space, not going to be the brightest one in the room because I don't want to offend anyone else or see their faces when they realize that I'm different from them, that I'm more involved than them, more educated, more passionate, whatever. I don't know what it is, but if you're with me and you've been here in this earth long enough, you get it. You get the change in the look in people's eyes, or their body posture changes. Because being seen has not historically been safe, right? Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. And when your natural way of being has been called too much, too loud, too intense your whole life, right? When stimming got you mocked and direct communication got you labeled difficult, or your genuine enthusiasm got you told to calm down. All that has made us learn to make ourselves invisible, to preemptively shrink before someone else can tell you to do it. That's not personality, that's protection. The armor kept you safe, and it also kept everything out, including the good things, the softness, the joy, the genuine connection. Because you can't selectively armor yourself. You can't say, I'll keep out the harm, but let in the love. The armor doesn't discriminate, it just keeps things out. And so while you were protecting yourself from more hurt, you were also keeping yourself from the very things you needed to heal. So let me tell you what I've learned about what has to go before softness becomes accessible. This one was a big one for me because for a long time, everything I did, how I showed up, what I said, how I presented myself, was filtered through a lens of what will people think. And you can't be soft while you're performing for an audience. You can't relax into yourself when you're constantly checking whether your relaxed self is acceptable. Letting go of everyone's opinion, and I mean everyone's, including people you love, including your children, including your professional community. It's terrifying. And it is also the beginning of everything. There's a version of you that developed as protection, like I've said. It served a purpose that was always ready for a fight, that led with defenses. The version of you was necessary. She got you here. She survived things. And she also became a cage because you couldn't tell the difference between actual threat and the possibility of threat. So you were always armed, even when there was nothing to fight. For me, something unexpected happened when I started this podcast. You know how you take those quizzes or you take those assessments and they tell you how do you approach change or how do you approach things? Like, do you dive all in? Do you get all the information, resources? Like, what's your path? And it's like, I knew I wanted to do something to share my knowledge in addition to just doing one-on-one therapy. And I had talked podcast, an ADHD podcast with a fellow therapist. It never really got off the ground. There was never really oomph, or like it just never really got off the ground. So I thought maybe podcasting wasn't for me. And I would toil with creating programs, with teaching yoga, with doing workshops, with handing retreats. Like I couldn't find what it was. And then one day I opened up a podcast that was 20 minutes long, which was my sweet spot because I can't listen to anything that's like more than 30 minutes. So I was like, oh, let's see what she has to say, right? She seemed young. I liked the vibe. I liked the energy. And like the more I listened to her, the more she just helped me realize that I've got it all within me. And she was motivational, but she was very new agey. And there were just things that her older episodes really honed in on that really spoke to me. And it, her path helped me find my path. I can sit and talk for 20 minutes and share my wisdom and experience to help women like me who have searched for therapists that know more knowledge than me, that are more educated than me, that are more experienced than me, to find mentors, to find friends. I've sought out so many different outlets to try to find the connection, to find that missing link where I can share and find a community. So I wanted to create it myself. And then from here, And from here, I've just really been cracked open because I have had to be vulnerable here. I've covered topics that not only are very important and very prevalent as a therapist, but I also experience some trauma, lots of trauma. And to share that and to be vulnerable with that, knowing that anybody could say anything about me at any time, strangers, people that used to know me, people that think they know me, robots, anything. Speaking about things that feel important and challenging, sharing parts of my story that I had been fiercely protective of because of what happened when I shared with friends and family, like all this was just holding me back. I was afraid to be vulnerable, but when I gave myself permission to show up fully for this podcast, I said, "Okay, Autumn, you've got 3 to 5 years. At the 3 year mark, you're going to check in with yourself to see if you're still having fun. And then at the 5 year mark, you're going to check in and make sure you're still having fun and if you want to continue." It's not about money. It's not about numbers. It's about feeling good about creating something that people want to listen to, that people need to hear. And from that, I've been able to be in my rebirth season by being vulnerable with you, by sharing my story with you. So I got tangential here, lost where I was in my notes, but this does segue me into saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting in any way that you support. Talk about me, share an episode. Thank you. So getting back, for me, it was really unexpected what this podcast did. Not all at once, but slowly. But the act of speaking difficult truths out loud, of deciding that my story mattered enough to share, of showing up as all of me instead of the acceptable curated version, that cracked my armor in ways I did not expect. You cannot share your real story and stay fully armored. The vulnerability required to be honest is incompatible with full protection. So the sharing and the softening happen together, simultaneously, each one making the other more possible. And for me, as a parent, my kids were in their teens when I've always been growing. I've always been healing. But when my kids were in their teens and I got my diagnosis with ADHD first, it was eye-opening. And my kids were in their teens, so things changed during their formative years for me, and I became a different type of mom. So I had to let go of the opinion of what my kids thought, right? Like the newer version of me, different versions of me were needed to be adjusted to. And that was really hard because I want to be loved. I want to be them to approve. And I wanted the softening to be easy for everyone involved. But sometimes your growth requires them to adjust, to grieve the version of you they knew, to get used to the boundaries, the directness, the I need to reschedule without guilt version of you that's emerging. When you start to unfold into your true self and you're raising people, your new self may threaten what they know. The sheer fact of unknown can be very heavy enough. Can be very heavy. Can be heavy enough. It's not that you can't be yourself. It's just that you have to be mindful of your kids while showing up more authentically. It is a balancing act. And you have to just show up anyway and trust that repair is possible because it's not about never having a rupture. It's always about coming back with a repair, acknowledging where you went wrong, acknowledging who you hurt and what you did, and making amends in the sense of what will your changed behavior be and do that changed behavior. So show up anyway. As uncomfortable as it is, show up anyway for yourself and for all the people involved. So I've talked a little bit before getting into the what of it all. What is softness? What does it mean to be soft? Because the word has been weaponized, used to mean compliance, smallness, people pleasing, giving up your power. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Taking a sip of my coffee, if you have water, if you have a drink, time to hydrate. So relaxing is when your mind and body want to relax. Right? That kind of sounds simple and silly. It is not simple. For women who have been in survival mode for decades, whose nervous systems have been wired for constant vigilance, whose bodies have been armored instead of home, allowing yourself to actually relax when relaxation arises without guilt or anxiety or the sense that you should be doing something, that is a radical act. Softness is saying, not saying. Softness is permitting the relaxation that your body is asking for. Softness is doing it right now, saying the thing now, expressing in the present moment, not swallowing it, not letting it build into resentment that eventually explodes. Softness is not performing fine when you're not fine. Soft is, this is where I am right now, said calmly, said clearly, said in a moment it's true instead of 12 days after it stopped being relevant. Communication is key, expressing in the present moment. For us neurodivergent women whose emotional experiences are intense and who often have difficulty regulating when things have been building for too long, present moment expression is both a softness practice and a nervous system regulation tool. You stay regulated by not letting things build up. Softness is about choosing based on mood and comfort. The colors you wear, the clothes on your body, the environment you create around yourself, making those choices from what actually feels good today rather than what's appropriate or professional or what you think you should want. Softness is pink because pink feels right today. Softness is blue because blue feels right today. Softness is the oversized, soft thing because your body wants softness against it. Softness is decorating your space with what you actually love, your pinks and purples and maroons, because you live there and your joy matters. I say pinks, purples, and maroons because that's my joy. My joys are pinks, purples, and maroons and teals. So like if I could have like a color palette that would be mine, is it the Bold Classics? Is that what it's called? The Crayola Bold Classics markers that have all those colors that are maroon, teal, purple. Sorry for the cat in the background. He's just talking. But those are my colors. So I decorate with those colors. I decorate with those colors in a few ways. Like my cups, if I buy cups, they're probably always going to be in one of those hues. I decorate my room in different colors. My bed sheets, my blankets, although they're cotton, they are colorful. I say this, I'm going to tangentially step aside and say, hey, change your bedding and your clothing. Go to wholesome fabrics, cotton, linen. I don't prefer bamboo. I've read some things on bamboo about the processing and whether it's really good or not. Please inform me if there's some good stuff and I'm missing it. But I stick with linen and cotton. No forever chemicals. When you're sweating, when you're sleeping, nothing's rubbing into your skin. This is just cotton. Good, good, good. Ultimately, choose comfort based on your mood, based on your needs, based on your sensory needs. Choose what's actually good today rather than what's appropriate or professional. Like, I've said this in another episode, so I apologize if it's a repeat, if you're a repeat listener, but it's true. It was a big thing for me. When I am at work, I take my work very seriously. I take everything very seriously and literally. I'm a funny, serious person. But I took my job as a therapist, even though I was a virtual therapist, very seriously in the sense of like I had to fit the attire. Like my attire needed to be that of every other therapist. I needed to have the slacks. I needed to have the little cardigan. I needed to be super perfect. Don't change my face. Don't show any emotion. Don't be yourself. Just be calm and quiet and let everyone speak and then just offer what you need. And I did that for a couple of months, maybe 3 to 6 months. I stayed in that role. And like the more I unmasked, the more I got in tune with my neurodivergence and learned more about it and went to trainings, the more I learned that I could accommodate myself. And I've had variations of uniforms. One season, my uniforms were nothing but hoodies and comfy joggers. One season, my uniform was nothing but yoga clothes. One season, my uniform was nothing but sweatshirts and comfy cotton pants. My season now, I'm in between. I am in between like sweatshirts and comfy clothes and tank top and pants with a little, what is it? Like kaftan, kimono, a shawl, something like that over me. I want to feel hippie flowy, but it's based on my mood. If I'm not in the mood for hippie flowy, I definitely go with the comfy clothes, which is always my fallback is a sweatshirt and some comfy sweatpants. But I still do my job this way. I wash my face, I get dressed, I put earrings on, I brush my teeth, I do the things, but I don't have to wear that outfit anymore, that therapist outfit. Not because I'm not professional, not because I don't care, but because when I am wearing these clothes and colors that align with me, I can do my job better. I'm not focusing on tightness or uncomfortableness or getting these clothes off of me. It's one less distraction. Ooh, another big one, and this has come up this week, but rescheduling without guilt. When your body says no, when your capacity is at its limit, when showing up would cost more than you have to give, rescheduling is okay. And not spending time apologizing for it is also much, much, much okay. This is soft and powerful. Soft because you're listening to yourself, powerful because you're protecting your own resources without performing sacrifice. Some people may call it flaky back in the day, but if you have good people, I guess they may call it flaky now if they don't know you, but that's the key, right? Get around like-minded women, neurodivergent women that understand capacity, that understand that, yes, Mary, I want to go on a coffee date. Let's schedule it for Tuesday. I'm going to do my best to set up my routine so I'll be ready. But can we check in Monday for a capacity check for both of us? And then when we check in on Monday, if neither one of us has the capacity, you know what? That's okay. Let's chat. Let's reschedule. And we'll reschedule it again. It's okay to be at capacity. Nothing is wrong with saying, I need a different time. Creating a morning routine that works with your neurology instead of against it. Do you hear that kitty cat? He is in the hallway. Come here, guy. I'm busy. Come visit. Sorry about that. I won't edit this. So sorry about that. Let me get back into what I was saying. Your morning routine. You need it to be, you want it to be, I'm not trying to be bossy here because I don't want it to sound like a demand, but what works best for a neurodivergent brain is a slow, intentional morning, not rushed, not performing productivity before you're even having your morning coffee. The morning that starts with stillness instead of obligation is a softness practice every single day. When I talk about morning routines, when I talk about being soft and slow, I'll share with you the current morning routine that I'm really settling into, that I really love, that gives me time to lounge afterwards. I wake up, I take a medicine that I have to take. Hello, HRT. Hello, thyroid medication. Hello, trying to get my perimenopausal body back to some sort of normalcy. So I take a thyroid medication that I have to wait an hour to eat anything. So I wake up, I take my med. And then I found me a little acupuncture mat to stand on that has all these little spikes and balls and stuff. I put that down. I scrape my tongue. I stand on that. I scrape my tongue. I brush my teeth. And then I go into the kitchen and I make me a cup of tea. I am using the Ayurvedic morning tea CCF, cardamom, something, and fennel. Cardamom, something, and fennel. I can't think of what it was, but they're herbs and it's a really good tea. It's not strong, it's not bold, it doesn't make my tummy hurt, but it definitely is something to start my morning. While I'm sipping my tea, I have a book of morning inspiration. You just read like a paragraph for inspiration. So I read that, I think on that, and then I have two self-care apps that I use. I use my Finch app, which I love. If you have not gotten into the Finch app, I highly, highly recommend the Finch app. It has really worked wonders for me. I am on like day 782 streak of checking in every single day. And every single day I've done something for myself. Have I done everything? No. But every day I do some form of self-care because of that app. And the companion to that, I don't even know if it's the same company. There's an app that I just recently picked up. It's called Foxtail, Foxtale. Yeah. And it is a journaling app that is really insightful, that really covers really good topics, and it really keeps me in tune with how I'm feeling. So that's what I do. When I'm having my tea, I check in on my apps, I do my inspiration, I show gratitude for Mother Earth, for my life, for whatever I'm grateful for. And then from there, it's time to walk. So I go outside, I take a quick walk. Most of the time, I take my dog with me, so it's a sniffy walk. And then I come back and I either do strength training or I do yoga. After that, it's time for breakfast. I make me a wholesome breakfast, warm, homemade, all whole foods. And then I take a shower. Before I shower, I dry brush, I shower, and then I body oil. I put oil all over my body. That's my morning routine. From start to finish, it takes about an hour, hour and a half, and I still have time before work. So I have a different schedule. I'm not saying this works for everybody, but pick some things in your morning that you want to do. What's important? Is it just a small glass of tea or coffee without doing anything, before anyone wakes up? Is it writing in your journal for 5 minutes or 1 page or 2 pages until you feel better, until you're done? Is it stretching for 5 or 10 minutes just in a purposeful way? Is it meditating for 5 or 10 minutes? It doesn't have to be a lot, just something that's for yourself before you start working for the man. So I want the mornings to belong to you. The goal is to let the mornings belong to you. Let's talk about the fear that may creep up. If I soften, will I go back to being small? Will I lose the rage that protected me? Will I become a people pleaser? Will I start swallowing everything again and act like I don't exist? No. The answer is no. Smallness feels like wrong, sad, muted, and suffocating. Smallness is the feeling of making yourself less so someone else is more comfortable. It's the held breath, the swallowed truth, the I'm fine when it isn't fine. Smallness lives in the body as constriction, as holding. And that's a specific type of exhaustion of performing. Softness is like a deep breath, like a release, like joy. Softness is the healing of being exactly where you are, exactly as you are, without apology or performance. It's the exhale. Softness lives in the body as expansion, as ease, as the specific relief of not having to manage yourself constantly. Softness does not mean you stop noticing injustice. It means injustice doesn't get to live in your body forever. So, what's the test? How do you know? When you're about to do something, comply, agree, show up, perform, I want you to ask your body, does this feel like a deep breath? Or does it feel like a held breath? Am I holding my breath? So essentially, is this expansion or constriction? Is this what I'm about to do a release, or is it suffocating me? Your body knows the difference between soft and small. Trust it. And for us neurodivergent women, softness has an additional layer of complexity because your nervous system was built for vigilance. And relaxing that vigilance can feel dangerous in a very specific physical way. Your nervous system is always scanning, even when things are calm, even when you're safe, even when nothing is actually wrong. A dog barking, something falling, a phone ringing, a stressful text arriving in the middle of a peaceful moment. Your body tenses immediately. Your heart rate may increase. Your breath may become shallow, or you may just start holding your breath altogether. The whole system moving from rest into alert in seconds. That's not a character flaw. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Your phone on silent isn't avoidance, it's accommodation. It's you understanding what your nervous system needs and giving it that. When things are calm and good, something in you waits for it to end, waits for the bad thing that must be coming, waits because experience has taught you that good things don't last, that safety is temporary, that the moment you relax is the moment something breaks. This is hypervigilance's cruelest trick. It steals the good moments by filling them with anticipatory dread. You're in a peaceful morning, and a part of your brain is already preparing for what might disrupt it. Softness comes more easily at certain times of the day. For many neurodivergent women, mornings and midday can feel harder to relax into. The day is ahead, the demands are coming, the nervous system is primed. But afternoons, evenings, when the structure of the day has passed and there's nothing left to prepare for, that's when softness becomes more accessible for a lot of us. When the safe shows come on, when the body finally releases. Understanding your own pattern, knowing when softness is neurologically available and when it needs more support is self-knowledge. And that is power, my dears. So start to know your rhythms, start to know when it is a good time to practice rest, if rest is foreign to you, if rest is hard for you, if rest is guilt-ridden, if rest brings out the negative Nancy in your head. Understand your own pattern. I need to work on rest. I need to work on softness. I know in the evenings it's a little easier for my mind to calm down and journal. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to start an evening routine instead of a day routine. Go to where your energy is. Learn your patterns. When high alert hits, when something spikes the nervous system, the pull is toward doing. Coffee mode, fix it mode, move through it mode, which can be productive, or it can be a way of avoiding the feeling by staying in constant motion. The morning routine is the antidote to this, not because it eliminates the activation, but because it creates a structure that starts before the activation, that builds softness into the foundation of the day before there's anything to react to. Slow mornings are nervous system medicine for us neurodivergent women. Purposeful, unrushed, belonging to you before they belong to anyone else. Your time, your efforts, your mind, your thoughts. So some things that help for a neurodivergent woman while you're creating softness and maintaining your power. Silence or a chosen sound, predictable routine, sensory comfort, that's lighting, that's temperature, that's clothing. Slow movement into the day, not jumping straight into demands, maybe laying in your bed for 5-10 minutes before you look at your phone, before you roll out of bed, and just saying, hey, day, hey, body, how are you? Putting your phone on silent, permission to take the breath before responding to what activated you. There's things you can do. Softness is power, not instead of power, not despite power. It is power. It takes more strength to be soft than to stay armored. Armor is actually the easier choice. Armor is automatic, is the nervous system's default when it's been trained for threat. You don't have to work to stay guarded. You have to work to open. Softness requires trusting yourself enough to relax, trusting your own judgment about who and what is safe. Softness requires believing you can handle what comes even without the armor fully up. And softness is about choosing the present moment over the anticipation of future threat. That's not weakness. That is extraordinary, hard-won, earned strength. The rage season doesn't end just because softness has arisen. The rage is still in you. It's just not running the show anymore. Your strong sense of justice, still there. Your zero tolerance for rudeness, bigotry, pettiness, people who deliberately leave their shit around, still there. Your refusal to people please, your directness, your boundaries, still there. The softness didn't replace the rage, it integrated it. The fire is banked now, controlled, available, purposeful, instead of consuming everything, including you. Soft doesn't mean you forgot what you learned. It means you learned it so thoroughly, you don't have to be on fire every moment to remember it. This is what's on the other side of the armor, on the other side of rage. Space, breath, calm that's actually enjoyable, and freedom. The freedom to wear what feels good. The freedom to rest when you're tired. The freedom to say what's true in the moment it's true. The freedom to decorate your space in your colors. The freedom to have a slow morning that belongs only to you. That's not small. That's the fullest expression of power there is, a life that actually fits you. You burned down the armor, you named the fury, you sat in the shadow and asked it what it was holding. We honored Lilith and built altars and let yourself feel every terrible necessary thing. And now we're here in rebirth season, learning that on the other side of all that burning is something that feels like a deep breath, like release. Softness is relaxing your body when it says rest. It's speaking the truth in the moment that it's true, not holding it in. It's choosing pink because pink feels right, or whatever color is your color. It's rescheduling without guilt. It's watching your safe shows after a heavy week. Softness is not smallness, is not compliance, is not losing the rage that taught you your limits. It's not forgetting what you learned, and it's not going back. The armor was never who you were. It was what you built to survive who you had to be around. And now you're building something different, something that fits. Rebirth season is here, my dears, and it is the softer version. It is way softer than rage, and it is more powerful than armor. So welcome. If you find yourself here and you're like, wait, what is she talking about? What is this rage she's going on about? I haven't even mentioned the numb season. I'll put in the show notes episode 1 of this season, which is the beginning of the season of healing after sexual trauma. And this season is broken up into 3 arcs. First, we had the numb arc. Second, we had the rage arc. And now we're in the rebirth arc. If you're not here yet, if you've jumped in the middle, if you feel you're a little bit of rage, or if you want to get caught up, start back on episode 1, season 2. I'll have that in the show notes. And then I'll have the first episode of the rage arc. So you can start either at the numb season or at the rage arc to get caught up. But if you're here, you're here. Welcome to rebirth season. In the bonus episode this week, we're going to meet Bridget, the goddess of the triple flame, healer, poet, smith, the goddess who is soft and fierce and creative and powerful all at once, the perfect companion for where we're going. Until then, take the gentlest possible care of your awakened heart, and today, find one moment of softness, just one. Let it feel like a deep breath. Let it feel like a release. That's where we're building moving forward. Take care of you, and I'll see you soon.